Now you might be saying to yourself, what's the silly sod doing now, sitting in his armchair in the greenhouse? Well, I'm contemplating. And the thing I'm contemplating is, have the midges in Scotland stopped fighting? Have they reached that time of year where they stop thirsting after my blood? I'm thinking of taking a chance on that. And it's a big chance because it's 5 hours drive to where I want to go, and I'd hate to get there and find that they're still terribly hungry. So, contemplation, it helps focus the mind. I'm also thinking, what am I going to do when I get there? Well, my wife is a little bit concerned all the time about, is he going to be alright? Well, I believe in looking after my life, and to that end I bought myself a Lifesaver. Well, it says Lifesaver on it. It's actually called a Lifesaver Liberty, and it's a filter for water. And when I actually get to use it, I'll give you a lot more information about it. You can see videos on YouTube showing them using this thing, but I'm going to test it for real. Now, one of the problems I have is I'm always getting into places where all there is muddy puddles, and I can't really take the water unless I can start a fire and boil it. Bit of a faffing about when you're trying to get from A to B. So I bought this, and I couldn't afford it, and as you know, that doesn't always stop me. But it turns out that in 12 months' time I'll actually be in the Sahara learning more about desert survival, and one of the pieces of equipment I've been told I need to take with me is a filter of this quality. So I thought, well, why not buy it now, get a year's use out of it before I actually have to go. And I mean, at the end of the day, I may go on this survival course and not survive. So anyway, this is how it arrived. It's arrived in a box, and I'll just pop it out and won't show you too much of it. We'll wait and see. Oh, there you go. What's happening here? Hi. Looks like an instruction booklet. Don't need that because I'm a man. Right, it comes in a little bag. This is what is a scavenger hose, because I'm going to be scavenging for water. There's something else in there. I don't know what it is. Oh no, it's fresh air. Fresh air. So this is your hose that you attach to the filter, and this is your float that you drop in the water. Well, that's the float, and that's the filter thing on the end there. You know, I'm not using my old socks to do it this time. We're going high tech. And the bottle itself, let's see, how can we get this out of here? This is the problem with, I don't want to damage the packaging, because if there is something wrong with it, I want to be able to send it back. Now this Lifesaver company, Icon Lifesaver they're called, you can't really buy these from all the outlets you might normally go to for your outdoor stuff. They tend to just keep them solely for themselves to sell. You will find them on like military surplus websites, but I didn't want to risk going on one of those, because I don't know how long this thing would have been stored for, and although they have a long life, if my life's going to depend on it, I may want to have it in tip-top condition, and in this case in new condition. So like I said, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this and how it works, but we shall go and take it up on our little trip. That's assuming I decide to go, because I haven't finished contemplating yet, and we'll give it a go. And the idea is that instead of having to walk to streams and lakes and everything, if I find a muddy puddle somewhere, and let's face it, in Scotland it rains that much, there's puddles everywhere, I should be able to dip this end in and get myself some fresh drinking water. That's the theory anyway. So that's what we're going to do, providing I decide after I finish contemplating. You may also wonder what this is on the floor. This is a jerry, a term we used to use for this particular implement back in the day, and I'm talking the 50s and 60s. I don't know if it was called a jerry because it looked like one of those German Second World War helmets. Probably, you know. But this was the only toilet that we had in our house when I was growing up, until I was 9 years old. And I was amazed to find this the other day when I was rooting round some old boxes and things up in the loft. And I said to myself, Al, you've reached an age where you're not sure if you can actually make it to the toilet every time you want to go. So I thought I'd just keep it down here handy. Just got to whip it out, fill the thing up, no problem. As long as neighbours aren't looking, we'll be alright, we'll be alright. Anyway, on that thought, I'm going to sit here, have a look at these little instructions, probably take this in the house, give it a go in the sink with water that isn't going to do me in, and we'll see where we go from there after I've finished contemplating. Well, the decision was made. The weather here is going to rain for the next couple of days, and it's going to be dry in Scotland. Also, it's going to be quite breezy in Scotland, and midges can't fly if it's more than 10 miles an hour. The little wings won't do it. Whoa, watch where we're going. So yeah, we're on our way. See what happens. Bit of a disturbed night in the tent. Really strong winds, and this Terra Nova Southern Cross tent, which is supposed to be able to stand up to most things, which it has done, but one of the downsides I've found is the wind's moved around slightly in the night, and it's coming in from the side and it's pushing the side of the tent in on the bungee cord that's attached to the guy, to the peg, and it's sort of hitting you in the side of the head all the time. I went out at 6 o'clock in the dark thinking that the pegs had come out, but they haven't. It's just a stretch on the bungee that's attached to them, which is allowing this bit here to keep battering you in the back of the head. So after a while you get used to it and you sleep anyway. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm just waiting for the last of the rain to pass over. According to the weather report, it should be dry here by 10 o'clock, but I'm not happy with this wind situation because I had planned to move higher up into exposed areas from here, but I might have to have a little bit of a rethink about that because I don't want to get blowed away. Anyway, I'll go back and think about that and speak to you later. Just got a little bit of shelter here behind the ferns. Just can't stay on my feet. Now, I'm a bloke who's always complaining about the excessiveness of health and safety, especially in the workplace. I like health and safety to be sort of sensible. Use it when it should be used. Use your common sense. And my common sense told me that I actually fell over twice up there. That falling over twice was maybe unlucky, but if I fall over a third time and break my leg, that would be bloody unlucky. So I'm going to head down somewhere lower and see if we can find somewhere in the forestry that's more sheltered. So, down we go. So normally, filling up with water, I'd have to find a stream, put this in it, fill it up, usually put some water purifying tablets on, or if I'm in camp I would boil it. Boiling is the safest way, but sometimes there aren't streams and all you can find is a muddy puddle like this. So this little piece of kit, I'm going to plug this in there. Now I could just unscrew the whole at the bottom of this, I'll show you when I've finished, and fill it up from a stream, but obviously there's no running water here. Take the cap off, and this is where we would drink out of. Got a little tab there, so when that's up it's open, but at the moment there's no pressure in there, so it won't send any water out. I'm going to try and top this one up. So that's going to be a case of I'm going to dangle that and I'll look wherever it's the deepest. Now this float here is designed so that if you're in deeper water you can float on the surface and hang this as deep as you want, but I don't want it deep because there isn't any deep here. It's just a puddle basically. So I'm going to lay that in there and see if we can get any water out of it. Let's open the valve up, turn that to the left and start pumping. Now you can see water coming out now. So what I'm going to do is, preferably too many cap tops here, pop that in there like that. Can hold that there. It's not the fastest way, but whoops, it's full now. So trying to do two things at once. I'm losing water out of this one here. Put that there. So that's full now. And what I'm going to do is just close this cap off here. Put it down there. And I'm just going to fill this up as well. And you can see in the window, well, you might be able to see how disgustingly filthy this water is. And I'll leave it at that. Okay. Open the valve, and we've got Pure, nice tasting drinking water coming out of there. You can get all the details of this on Lifesaver's website. If you select Liberty as the product you want to look at, there's numerous instruction videos telling you how to prime it, how to use it with this, how to use it without, and it will also give you all the specifications as to how it's been tested. And this is supposed to, because I'm never 100% sure, 99.99% of several things like bacteria and cysts, and anyway, it tells you all on the website what it does. And yeah, I've used it once already on this trip. This is the second time, and so far I haven't had diarrhea, so we'll assume that it's okay. Right, let's get packed up, and if I think of anything else that's useful to tell you, I'll do that later. So here we are. We've moved into the Queen Elizabeth Forest. It shouldn't be called a forest. A forest conjures up images of nice deciduous trees like oak and elm and beech. All we get here is pine and pine and pine, and loggers making it look like a swamp after they're finished. So it's not the easiest place to find somewhere to put a tent up. I've just come off a forest track which is used by the loggers to access this area, and I wanted to try and find somewhere where I get a phone signal, and that's because my little lady at home, Marie, she worries about me. Something about, you're getting too old for this sort of stuff. Anyway, this isn't the ideal location, but I found a flat spot, and I don't like being in the darkness of the trees. I like a little bit of light, and so I found this little, I don't know what it is, it's a small hill I suppose, and I found a flat patch that I can put the tent on. So back to Marie. She likes me to be able to report in where I am, and I've managed to get high enough just to get a phone signal. Everywhere else around here you won't get a phone signal. So I've done something that I've never done before. I've used what 3 words to let her know what my location is. Some of you will know about what 3 words and some of you won't. I'm supposed to be the super duper navigator, and I didn't know about it till my friend Jane told me about it when we were in holiday in Cape Verde, and I went, what, who, where? So I downloaded the app, and it makes it easy for people who don't understand grid references and latitude and longitude to be able to pass on critical information about your location should you call for assistance or you don't turn up. So the last thing I do once I get my tent all set up and everything is I let her know exactly where I am. And I thought today, she struggles to remember and write down all those coordinates correctly. So I told her, what 3 words? And you simply tell her the 3 words, and it will show you on their app and on any map, like the emergency services have these maps, and it will show you to within 12 feet of where you are. So I can't remember what 3 words were now. Slug, sweetly, digestive. Well, there you go. You put that in to what 3 words, and you'll know exactly where I've been, because by the time you've seen this and done it, I'll have been long gone. But It's not the ideal place, but I'll let you have a look. Come on, we'll do a 30-degree round tour. Now, I'll be honest with you, if I thought there was another storm coming tonight, I would not camp here, because I said it was a little top of a hill, a little high up, and it's exposed, and as you can see, all the trees have fallen down, and this one here, which is right behind me, could make a terrible mess of my fragile little body. But we do have a view. Unfortunately tonight we can't see it out of the tent. We'll just have to get out, have a look, memorise it, and then think about it once I get back in. And this camping can be quite cosy. Once I get back in there, I'll be happy as Larry. But right now, before it starts raining, I'm going to get some food on. Says tear open and pour into pan. Alternatively, cook in boiling water, and if you do that, don't tear the top off. See, this is the problem with men. They insist on not reading the instructions until after they've cooked the job up. You can actually eat this stuff cold, so I'm not too worried. Meatballs and pasta. Not the same as a bacon butty or fish and chips, but it'll have to do till I get back. Always remember, leave your sight as you find it. Always take your little home. That was me being serious. Don't do serious very often, so make the most of that one. Oh. Whoops, watch your footing. Morning. Nice morning, clear blue sky, bit nippy. I'm going to have a drink. First thing to note is I'm almost out of water, so maybe putting that water pump filter thingamajiggy, my Lifesaver Liberty, into action as soon as possible once we get moving. Well, I thought I'd talk to you. You think, oh no, he's only just got out of bed and he wants to waffle away. Well, I've had nobody to talk to all night, so I'll make a start with you. Sometimes when you're about, in fact all times really, when you're out and about like this, you need to be observing things and learning. I'm always looking for animal tracks and stuff like that, but also natural navigation techniques. And I've got something next to me that will help me get a rough idea which way north and south is. We hear about moss growing on certain sides of trees and stuff like that. What normally doesn't happen is pine trees. They tend to grow equidistant either side as far as their branches go. Unlike deciduous trees, which will always have one side predominantly leaning towards the sun. But when you get an area like this that has been decimated by high winds, sometimes you get one tree stood on its own that hasn't gone over. The one behind me, I heard some wind in the leaves last night, and I'm glad it's still there because I'm right in line for the chop if it comes down. Anyway, tree off to my left here. Let's just zoom in on one side of it. Now take a look at this. Because the tree has now been exposed to light, normally a pine tree, when it's in a commercial forest like this, will have the other trees around it packed so tightly that the branches lower down will just die off as the tree grows. In this case, this particular tree has been in that situation and its branches have died off, and the bulk of the leaves and everything is right at the very top. But if you look on this one side, you can see all new shoots appearing. And at one part of the tree, they are actually sticking out further than any other. Now, if we take a walk around to the other side of the tree, and we look up there, flipping voice is going a bit, I don't know what. If we look up there, we see that there is no fresh shoots coming out. So what that's telling me is that the new shoots, they've been affected by having suddenly all this light exposed to them. So I just took a guess. I roughly know what is north and south anyway because we've got the sun this morning. But if it had been like yesterday when I first noticed this, I arrived here and there was no sun at all. And I looked at that tree and I thought, I bet that tree, the longest branches on the side that we looked at with the new shoots, I bet that's pointing south. Well, I took out my compass and let me take a walk over to the tree. So the majority of the shoots are coming out this way. On the other side, there's nothing going that way. And I take my compass out, and sure enough, that is due south. So without a compass and without any means of knowing which way north and south is, because say there's clouds, there's no other indicators, just by looking at that tree, excuse me, first thing in the morning, haven't cleaned my teeth yet. Might not. Might get a bit of bark and give them a poke about in a minute. Yeah, so that told me roughly which was south. I was just going roughly by looking at it. So I would have said anywhere between there and there was south. But that would have been enough for me to navigate myself to safety. Well, there you go. That's your navigation lesson this morning. Let's see what else we can think of. I know what I'm going to do. I've actually got to do a little review on this rucksack I'm carrying, so I'm going to do that separately for my Clarky's Reviews channel. And when I've done that, I'll come back and talk to you about something that people don't generally talk to about on their videos. Right, I finished the rucksack review, and that's me just giving an opinion on it, because I can be very opinionated when I want. That's because most of my friends, male or female, are what they call alpha males. Yeah, I don't think you can say alpha males anymore. You probably have to say alpha human beings. I'm not sure. You have to ask the woke people about that. I don't get all that stuff anyway. Because, as you know, I was born back in the 50s and 60s. And you should know that if you've been observant earlier on, because I was talking about our in-house toilet on the intro. Well, when I say in-house toilet, that was all we had for the night time, was a pot under the bed to take out and used for if you want a quick wee. Anything more, and you had to put your dressing gown and slippers on, and you had to walk out the house, round the end of the house, down the garden to a little shack where there was this luxury tin can. And I'm saying luxury because it actually had a wooden seat on it. And we had two choices of toilet. Well, initially we only had one choice of toilet paper. It's called Isle Soft. It wasn't soft. Anybody who's my age will remember Isle Soft. We used to take it to school and use it like greaseproof paper to do tracing on. Fortunately, products like Andrex appeared and other soft toilet papers, and we all opted for that. But my mother, she was buying Isle Soft till she died. She must have had a bum like sandpaper. Anyway, that aside, out here I haven't got a Jerry, the aforementioned name of the item, because it's too heavy to carry around with me. But I've got all this woodland to pee in. So, but I don't want to be getting out in the rain and wind and having to put my boots on in the middle of the night. So an item I have mentioned before, but I'll just mention it again because it's relevant to the subject, is my pee-wee bottle. Now I say pee-wee bottle because it's stroke my water bottle. And as I've explained before, once it's rinsed out, it isn't going to do you any harm if it's had pee in it, you know. You heard of that Bear Grylls fella? I mean, he goes around drinking it. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I use this in the night and then I just empty it in the morning. You really want to see this. This is great. Oh, disgusting. And it also tells me that I haven't been doing what I'm always telling you to do, drink enough water, because I can judge that by the colour of it. Again, I'm in an area where water's in short supply as far as my camping area goes, and so I've been a bit conservative with it. Right, put the lid back on that. And the great thing about this is that, let's not put the lid on tight, else this won't work. Leave it loose so the air can flow out. Is that it packs away, and it's when you get to here you've got to be a little bit careful that you don't nip it up. See, it's not as simple as I'm telling you. Well, that's the thing, a lot of stuff that you see people demonstrate online is never as simple as they make it out to be. Now I'm going to try and twist that. I've done this that many times before, I should know how to do it by now. Twist it, twist it, twist it. Ah, there we go, I've got it in. And it nips in like that. Now, if I was near a river, near a water source, I would immediately rinse that out and wash my hands afterwards. I say wash my hands, I'd definitely rinse them off even if I didn't have soap. And now I can screw the top back on, just make sure any lingering dribbles in there don't drop out into my rucksack. So, this is your modern day Jerry. Does the job. Little bit trickier for ladies to use, but of course they can use them things that they give you to go on aeroplanes with. I don't know what you do in the middle of an aeroplane full of people, but pee-wees or something they called. Well, I call this my pee-wee bottle, so I've seen these things called lady wees or something like that, that they can get a bit of a wider area to aim for, shall we say. So I'll put that down there. Now, of course, the other thing you got to think of when you're out like this, what do you do when you need a poo? Well, that's easy. You just drop your pants and job sorted. Well, you need to be a little bit more considerate. Now, the poo aspect of it, that's not a problem, because when you're walking around, you see animal poo all over the place. You know, it's just, that's what happens. But, firstly, unlike a lot of dog walkers that I seem to come across the sign of, we don't want to be leaving it anywhere near a trail. We don't want to be leaving it anywhere near a water source where people might be gathering water. You know, you might be having a bit of a crap at the side of the river there, and a mile down there's a scout camp where they're all collecting their water and learning about sterilisation and things like that. So, always deposit, whatever you're going to deposit, quite away from anywhere where anybody's likely to walk. When I did the coast-to-coast walk with my wife Marie, which was 14 days backpacking from one side of England to the other, we took a trowel with us for digging holes. Just take a look at the trowel here. Nice, innit? It's pink. I think that was my wife's choice. Anyway, well, it's more a sort of orangey pink anyway. And the ideal situation was to dig a hole and use that as your drop toilet and pop everything in. But of course, you weren't just leaving poo, you were leaving the toilet paper. Now, let's think about the toilet paper. Back when I did that, there wasn't really a lot of biodegradable stuff available. But now there is. And I would say to you, always get biodegradable toilet paper. I would not, in fact I am not going to recommend any. And I'll tell you why. I'm not going to show you what I'm using because I'm still not 100% sure that it is what it says it is. I'm pretty sure because I have sought some professional advice on this. But a lot of biodegradable toilet paper says on it things, well, let's give you an example. It'll say made from sustainable bamboo. But when you look into it and you maybe look up reviews on it and you look at people who've researched it, you find that only 20% of it is bamboo. And the bamboo is just a marketing ploy. So I'm reasonably satisfied that the paper I'm using is biodegradable, but I'm not 100% sure. So before you buy biodegradable, just don't go for the first thing that says, oh, bamboo, and it shows you nice pictures of pandas on it, you know. So something to think about. Now, with the toilet paper, I very rarely bury it, because what I actually do with it is after I've finished, I put it separate, drop it separate to the poo, and then I burn it. This is essential, especially in arid climates, where if you bury the toilet paper, it probably won't biodegrade. It's like banana skins and orange peel. You drop them in somewhere like a desert environment, and they'll take thousands of years to degrade. People think, oh, it's fruit, it's organic. Yeah, put it in your compost heap in this country and it will degrade, but not in a desert environment. So I'm burning the paper, but if necessary, if I don't have the facility to burn it, so might be chucking it down with rain, what could I do? Well, then I'll bury it, and obviously the biodegradable is going to be better. But occasionally you might not be able to do that. Take yesterday, was it yesterday? I don't know, we're on day 3 now. Yeah, so day 1 in the evening. It was so windy on top of that hill outside the tent. If I'd have gone out and squatted like this, I would have had the toilet paper in one hand, and as soon as I'd used it, it would have been off, blowing all over that pristine moorland. So what I would do in them situations, and I do have one in the bag there, I do have what I'm going to tell you about in the bag. I've got nappy bags. Nappy bags. We always knew he was a big kid, you're saying. He's still using a nappy. Yeah. Well, that may be coming soon, and I'm not sure how far away it is. It might be hours, it might be years, but anyway, we'll let the care home people worry about that side of things. Yeah, so the nappy bags, we use them when I'm sailing. Any of my sailing videos you might have looked at, we don't put the toilet paper down the toilet because it can block up the pipes. And trust me, my skipper does not like taking the pipes apart to get toilet paper mixed up with poo unblocked. So we sit on the loo, we have our nappy bag with us, and we use the toilet paper. It's good this, do the actions as well. Ugh. We put it in, desperately trying not to catch your fingers with it. Ugh. And then we seal it up, and we keep them, not tied in them, stored in a safe place. I'll say a safe place because it needs to be somewhere where nobody's going to open a cupboard to get the tea and sugar out and think, what's in this bag here? So we dispose of them in the correct manner when we get to shore. And the same can go for this. Had I have desperately wanted to go in the middle of the night up that hill when the wind was blowing, it would have been difficult. So I would have taken the nappy bag with me, and to be honest, I'd need to leave one hand free for the wife in. So I would have had to tie the nappy bag down with something, or because to keep hold of both would have been difficult. But yeah, it would have been one piece of paper, foot on the toilet roll, in the nappy bag, put that there, toilet roll. Even just going for a poo can be complicated out here. So always think about where you're doing this. Like, I would never go to the toilet upstream from a little brook or something where I'm hoping to collect my water. And this is why, even on the high mountains, we sterilise the water, because there are animals that live up there, and animals die, and they rot, and they get eaten by maggots and all sorts of nasty little, well, they're very efficient little creatures and they're essential to the ecosystem. And you wouldn't want to be picking out of that lovely, crisp, sparkling stream and drinking that water when just 100 metres up there there's a dead sheep lying in the stream, rotting. So, just something to think about, and not a topic that people usually enjoy covering. But, oh, anything to do with poo and things, I'm happy to get up for that. Well, I can honestly say I have been last night, so I'm feeling all nice and fresh and ready to move on. Well, that's it. Got my first sight of the end, and it's quite encouraging for morale when you can almost see your destination. Anyway, I hope you've learned something and enjoyed joining me on this little trip. Until the next time.